The underground research complex beneath the Rocky Mountains hummed with quiet intensity. Banks of quantum computers processed terabytes of data every second, their cooling systems creating a soft background noise that blended with the measured breathing of the scientists and military strategists gathered in the central command room. Dr. Elena Rodriguez adjusted her holographic display, her fingers dancing across translucent data streams that mapped potential extraterrestrial approach vectors. She had dedicated her entire career to preparing humanity for a scenario most considered impossible. The global early warning network she had helped develop was more than just a scientific project. It was humanity's first line of defense against the unknown. Around her, a diverse team of experts represented the best of human potential. Satellite communication specialists worked alongside quantum physicists, while cybersecurity experts collaborated with aerospace engineers. Each person understood that the potential for first contact could happen at any moment, and they needed to be prepared for every conceivable scenario. The complex itself was a marvel of human engineering. Located deep within the mountain range, it was designed to withstand multiple catastrophic scenarios. Multiple layers of electromagnetic shielding, quantum-encrypted communication networks, and adaptive defense systems made it virtually undetectable to any external scanning technology. It was humanity's ultimate insurance policy, a sanctuary and command center that could coordinate a global response to any existential threat. Previous decades of scientific advancement had prepared humanity for this moment. The global network of research facilities, military installations, and communication centers had been quietly developing technologies that pushed the boundaries of human understanding. Advanced AI systems capable of processing complex scenarios in milliseconds worked in tandem with human intuition and creativity. Dr. Rodriguez remembered the early days of the project. When she first proposed a comprehensive first contact preparation strategy, many had dismissed her as an overly paranoid researcher. But years of persistent research, international collaboration, and strategic planning had transformed her vision into a global reality. The main display suddenly flickered, catching everyone's attention. A series of quantum sensors positioned throughout the solar system had detected an anomaly. Something was approaching, something that didn't match any known natural or human-made object. "Initiate Protocol Horizon," Dr. Rodriguez said calmly, her voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. Across the room, communication specialists began activating a complex network of communication protocols. Encrypted messages would now be sent to key government and military leaders worldwide, preparing them for a potential first contact scenario. The global early warning system, developed over decades of careful planning, was now fully activated. Satellite networks repositioned themselves with remarkable precision. Research stations from Antarctica to orbital platforms began collecting and analyzing data. Every scientific instrument humanity had developed was now focused on the approaching anomaly. The team worked with a choreographed efficiency that spoke volumes about their preparation. No panic, no wild speculation, just calculated, precise action. Years of training and psychological preparation meant that each team member understood their role perfectly. Deep beneath the mountain, additional systems began to power up. Experimental defense technologies that had been kept secret from the public were now being prepared for potential activation. Quantum communication relays, adaptive energy shields, and advanced tracking systems represented humanity's most advanced technological achievements. Dr. Rodriguez knew that whatever was approaching would find humanity far different from the vulnerable species it might have expected to encounter. The Global Research Network had spent decades preparing for this moment, developing technologies that could adapt to virtually any potential threat. The anomaly continued its approach, growing larger on the complex's advanced tracking systems. Whatever it was, humanity would be ready. Years of preparation, global cooperation, and technological innovation had transformed what might have been a moment of terror into an opportunity for potential understanding or defense. "Begin full spectrum analysis," Dr. Rodriguez instructed, her eyes fixed on the approaching unknown, "and notify the international response team. First contact protocols are now active." The silent watchers of humanity were awake, and they were prepared. The first alien transmission arrived at 3:47 Universal Coordinated Time, a burst of complex quantum-encoded signals that would have overwhelmed any conventional communication system. But humanity was anything but conventional. In a nondescript research facility on the outskirts of Tokyo, Dr. Hiroshi Nakamura leaned forward, his eyes reflecting the intricate holographic displays that surrounded him. A global network of the world's most advanced linguists, cryptographers, and communication specialists had been preparing for this moment their entire careers. "Begin primary decryption sequence," Nakamura commanded, his voice calm and measured. Quantum computers across 5 continents sprang into action. Unlike traditional decryption methods, this was a symphony of technological innovation. Machine learning algorithms developed by international teams worked in perfect harmony, each system complementing the others with remarkable precision. The transmission was unlike anything previously encountered. Its structure defied traditional communication models, with layers of complexity that would have taken conventional systems decades to begin understanding. But the human network was anything but conventional. In Cambridge, a team of linguistic experts began analyzing the signal's fundamental patterns. Machine learning models developed by a consortium of universities rapidly began to identify potential communication structures. Simultaneously, cybersecurity experts in Silicon Valley worked to create protective barriers, ensuring that the incoming transmission couldn't compromise any of humanity's critical systems. Dr. Nakamura watched as the first fragments of meaning began to emerge. The alien communication was simultaneously a message of introduction and a form of technological probe. Most species would have seen it as a threat. Humanity saw it as an opportunity for understanding. "We're detecting multiple communication layers," reported Dr. Sarah Chen, a linguistic AI specialist joining the call from Singapore. "The signal appears to be testing our technological capabilities while simultaneously attempting to establish communication protocols." The global response was instantaneous and coordinated. Research centers that had spent decades preparing for this moment now worked as a single, unified intelligence. Quantum communication networks, developed in secret research facilities, began to analyze and respond to the alien transmission. What the incoming aliens didn't realize was that humanity had been preparing for this moment for generations. Every technological advancement, every breakthrough in communication theory, every development in quantum computing had been quietly building towards this potential encounter. In a secure facility beneath the European Space Agency headquarters, a team of international researchers began constructing a response. It wasn't just about understanding the transmission, but about sending a clear message about humanity's technological capabilities. The quantum computers continued their work, breaking down the alien communication into increasingly complex layers. Each decrypted fragment revealed more about the incoming civilization, their technological level, communication methods, and potential intentions. "They're sophisticated," Dr. Nakamura muttered, "but not invincible." The response was carefully crafted. It would demonstrate humanity's technological prowess without revealing too much. Mathematical sequences, complex quantum encryption, and carefully constructed linguistic patterns would serve as both a greeting and a subtle warning. Across the world, communication networks adjusted. Satellite systems repositioned. Quantum relays prepared to transmit the carefully constructed response. It was a global effort that transcended national boundaries, a true representation of human potential. Dr. Chen's voice crackled through the communication channel. "Initial analysis suggests the transmission is both a communication attempt and a form of technological assessment. They're testing our capabilities." Dr. Nakamura allowed himself a slight smile. Humanity would exceed every expectation. The quantum computers completed their analysis. The response was ready, a mathematical and linguistic masterpiece that would communicate humanity's readiness, intelligence, and potential. It was more than a message. It was a declaration. "Transmission prepared," announced the lead systems operator, awaiting final confirmation. Dr. Nakamura looked around the room at the diverse team of experts. Researchers from every continent, representing the best of human potential, waited with controlled anticipation. "Send it," he said simply. The message launched, cutting through the vast darkness of space. Humanity had just made its first true introduction to the galactic community, and they were ready for whatever might come next. The first alien ships breached the solar system's outer boundary with an air of calculated confidence. Massive biomechanical vessels that had conquered countless civilizations now approached Earth, expecting another routine subjugation. They were about to discover something entirely different. Global defense systems that had been decades in the making now activated with silent precision. Orbital platforms, initially developed as scientific research stations, transformed into a multi-layered defensive network. Each platform contained a combination of technologies that defied conventional military understanding. At the primary control center in Colorado, Colonel Marcus Weber watched the incoming fleet with a calm that belied the critical moment. Years of preparation had led to this instant. The defensive network was more than just a series of weapons. It was a living, adaptive system that could respond to threats in milliseconds. "Incoming vessels detected," announced a technician. Multiple approach vectors identified. The alien ships moved with a predictability that spoke to their long history of conquest. They approached in a classic formation designed to overwhelm planetary defenses, a strategy that had worked countless times before. But Earth was not like any world they had encountered. The first line of defense was invisible. Quantum-encrypted communication networks created a shield more sophisticated than any physical barrier. As the alien vessels attempted to scan Earth's defensive capabilities, they found themselves confronted with a communication matrix that actively disrupted their scanning technologies. In orbit, experimental platforms began to move. What appeared to be simple research satellites suddenly revealed complex defensive capabilities. Magnetic acceleration systems, originally developed for scientific research, could now launch projectiles with unprecedented precision. Laser communication arrays transformed into targeting systems that could track multiple incoming vessels simultaneously. Colonel Weber's team worked with a choreographed efficiency that was distinctly human. No panic, no wild gestures, just calculated, precise action. Each team member understood their role perfectly, a testament to years of training and psychological preparation. "Activate adaptive shielding protocol," Weber commanded. Across the planet, a network of ground-based and orbital defense systems began to synchronize. Experimental energy shields, developed through years of classified research, powered up. These were not simple force fields, but adaptive systems that could modify their frequency and intensity in real time. The alien fleet's first strike came with a burst of energy that would have disabled most planetary defenses. But Earth's systems absorbed the attack, then immediately began analyzing its composition. Within moments, the defensive network had not only neutralized the attack, but was preparing a counter-response. Satellite networks repositioned with remarkable precision. Research stations from every continent began collecting and analyzing data. Every scientific instrument humanity had developed was now focused on understanding and countering the alien technology. "They're using a standard conquest formation," noted Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who had been brought in as a strategic consultant. "Textbook approach for civilizations without advanced defensive capabilities." The irony was not lost on the defense team. The aliens were about to learn that humanity was anything but typical. The first physical projectiles launched from orbital platforms, but these were not simple missiles. Each was a complex system with adaptive targeting, quantum encryption, and the ability to change course mid-flight. They moved with a fluidity that defied traditional ballistic understanding. In space, the alien fleet began to realize something was wrong. Their standard invasion protocols were failing. Each attempt to approach Earth was met with a response that was both intelligent and unpredictable. "They're adapting," Weber observed, watching the holographic displays. But not fast enough. The global defense network was more than a series of weapons. It was a living, thinking system that combined human creativity with advanced technological innovation. Every attack was analyzed, every movement tracked, every potential threat neutralized before it could fully develop. As the alien fleet continued its approach, it became clear that this would not be a typical conquest. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for generations, and they were ready. More than ready. The alien communication systems began to break down in ways their designers had never anticipated. What started as a standard invasion protocol was now unraveling into a complex psychological challenge that defied every strategic model in their extensive database. Dr. Amara Williams, a leading expert in cognitive warfare and interspecies communication, watched the developing scenario with intense focus. Her team had spent years studying potential extraterrestrial encounter strategies, developing approaches that went far beyond traditional military thinking. They're experiencing cognitive dissonance, she explained to the International Response Team. Our defensive responses are so far outside their expected parameters that their strategic algorithms are beginning to fail. The human approach was brilliantly unconventional. Where most species would have responded with direct military force, humanity deployed a multi-layered strategy that targeted the psychological and technological foundations of the alien invasion. Commercial communication satellites suddenly became part of the defensive network. Internet infrastructure transformed into a distributed intelligence system that could process and respond to alien technological probes. Research facilities that had previously seemed unrelated now worked in perfect synchronization, sharing data and adapting strategies in real time. In Silicon Valley, a team of computer engineers worked to exploit the quantum communication signals intercepted from the alien fleet. What began as a defensive measure quickly became an offensive strategy of information warfare. They weren't just blocking alien communications, they were learning from them, understanding their technological and strategic thought processes. It's like they've never encountered an opponent who refuses to follow a predictable pattern, remarked Dr. Carlos Ramirez, a specialist in adaptive communication strategies. His team had developed algorithms that could predict and counter alien communication attempts almost before they were initiated. The global response was anything but centralized. Different research centers and military installations around the world contributed unique approaches. A team in Mumbai developed a method of using quantum entanglement to create communication interference. Researchers in Berlin discovered ways to use the aliens' own communication frequencies against them. Psychological warfare took on an entirely new meaning. The human response was designed to create maximum uncertainty, seemingly random communication bursts, deliberately inconsistent defensive patterns, and technological responses that defied traditional logic began to wear down the alien fleet's strategic capabilities. "We're not just defending," Dr. Williams explained. "We're actively destabilizing their entire approach to conflict." Commercial technologies became unexpected weapons. Cellular networks, satellite communication systems, and even internet infrastructure were rapidly repurposed into a global defensive mechanism. The aliens had expected to find a single, centralized defense system. Instead, they encountered a distributed adaptive network that could reconfigure itself instantaneously. Machine learning algorithms developed by international research teams worked overtime. Each alien communication attempt was immediately analyzed, broken down, and used to improve humanity's defensive capabilities. What would have taken traditional military systems months or years was now happening in milliseconds. The alien fleet began to show signs of strategic confusion. Their long-established invasion protocols, which had worked on countless other civilizations, were failing spectacularly. Every attempt to gain technological or strategic advantage was met with a response that was simultaneously defensive and offensive. They're used to civilizations that either surrender or fight using predictable methods, Dr. Ramirez observed. We're doing neither. We're adapting in ways they cannot comprehend. The psychological impact was profound. The alien invasion force, which had conquered countless worlds, was being systematically dismantled not through brute force, but through an approach that targeted their fundamental understanding of conflict. Research facilities from Tokyo to Cape Town, from Buenos Aires to Moscow, worked as a single, unified intelligence. Each contribution, no matter how small, became part of a global strategy that was greater than the sum of its parts. As the alien fleet continued its approach, it became increasingly clear that this would not be a typical conquest. Humanity had transformed the very nature of the conflict, turning an invasion into a complex psychological and technological challenge that the aliens were ill-equipped to understand. The silent watchers of Earth had become something far more dangerous than any invading force could have imagined. The research facility in New Mexico buzzed with an electric intensity that defied the late-night hour. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a wall of holographic displays, each one showing a different aspect of the ongoing alien encounter. Her team had discovered something extraordinary, a critical vulnerability in the alien technological infrastructure that would change everything. Confirm the quantum resonance pattern. She called out to her team of engineers and physicists. Years of theoretical research were about to be tested in the most extreme scenario imaginable. The alien fleet had begun to show signs of systemic breakdown. Their once impenetrable communication networks were developing unexpected fractures. What had started as minor disruptions was now becoming a comprehensive technological collapse. Dr. Marcus Chen, a quantum communications expert, highlighted a series of intricate data patterns. Their technological ecosystem is fundamentally different from ours, he explained. But that difference is now becoming their greatest weakness. The breakthrough had come from an unexpected combination of scientific disciplines. Quantum physicists working alongside communication engineers had discovered a method to exploit the fundamental communication structure of the alien technology. It wasn't about destroying their systems. It was about understanding them so completely that they could be systematically neutralized. Global research centers began to coordinate their efforts with unprecedented speed. What had begun as isolated discoveries now became a comprehensive strategy. Universities, research facilities, and technology centers from every continent contributed to a rapidly evolving understanding of alien technology. In orbit, experimental satellite systems began to emit carefully calibrated quantum signals. These were not traditional weapons, but sophisticated communication attacks that targeted the very foundation of the alien technological infrastructure. Each signal was a precisely constructed piece of technological poetry, a way of speaking to the aliens through their own technological language. We're not just defending, Dr. Rodriguez explained to the international response team. We're demonstrating a level of technological understanding that they never anticipated. The alien fleet's response became increasingly erratic. Their standard invasion protocols, which had worked on countless civilizations, were now failing in spectacular fashion. Each attempt to reestablish control was met with a response that was both defensive and offensive, a truly novel approach to conflict. Commercial technologies played an unexpected role. Cellular networks, satellite communication systems, and even consumer-grade electronics became part of a global defensive mechanism. The aliens had expected to find a single, centralized defense system. Instead, they encountered a distributed, adaptive network that could reconfigure itself instantaneously. Dr. Sarah Kimura, a specialist in adaptive communication systems, noted the profound psychological impact. They're experiencing something beyond technological defeat, she observed. They're confronting a fundamental challenge to their understanding of technological warfare. Machine learning algorithms developed by international research teams worked overtime. Each alien communication attempt was immediately analyzed, broken down, and used to improve humanity's understanding. What would have taken traditional research systems months or years was now happening in milliseconds. The breakthrough went beyond simple technological defense. Humanity was actively learning, adapting, and understanding an entirely alien technological ecosystem in real time. Each interaction provided new insights, new opportunities for understanding and adaptation. It's like we're learning a new language, Dr. Chen remarked, a language of technology that no one has ever spoken before. The global response was a testament to human potential. Research centers from Tokyo to Berlin, from Cape Town to Sao Paulo, worked as a single, unified intelligence. Each contribution, no matter how small, became part of a strategy that was greater than the sum of its parts. As the night wore on, the research facility continued its intense work. The wall of holographic displays showed a complex dance of technological interaction, humanity's response evolving with each passing moment. The alien fleet, once considered invincible, was now facing something it had never encountered before, a civilization that didn't just resist, but fundamentally challenged every assumption about technological warfare. The turning tide had begun. Deep within the Global Response Center, a team of the world's most brilliant cybersecurity experts gathered around a series of quantum computing displays. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the center, her eyes reflecting the complex data streams that danced across multiple holographic interfaces. "We've identified the primary network vulnerability," she announced, her voice calm but charged with intensity. The alien technological infrastructure, once considered impenetrable, was about to face its greatest challenge. Months of careful analysis, intercepted communications, and breakthrough research had led to this moment. A comprehensive strategy to infiltrate the alien communication network was about to be deployed. Dr. Marcus Chen, a quantum communication specialist, highlighted a series of intricate data patterns. "Their communication system is fundamentally a living network," he explained, "but every living system has vulnerabilities." The approach was nothing short of revolutionary. Instead of a direct attack, the human team had developed a method of technological infiltration that would systematically dismantle the alien network from within. It wasn't about destruction. It was about complete comprehension and neutralization. Global research centers have been working in perfect synchronization. Universities, technology hubs, and research facilities from every continent had contributed to this moment. What seemed impossible just weeks ago was now becoming a reality. In orbit, a network of carefully positioned satellites began to emit precisely calibrated quantum signals. These were not traditional weapons, but sophisticated communication vectors designed to penetrate the alien technological ecosystem. Each signal was a carefully constructed piece of technological code, a way of speaking to the aliens through their own communication language. "We're going to rewrite their entire communication infrastructure," Dr. Rodriguez explained to the international response team. "Not by force, but by understanding." The first stage of infiltration began almost imperceptibly. Quantum encrypted data packets began to weave their way through the alien network, exploiting microscopic vulnerabilities that the invading force had never anticipated. It was a digital invasion unlike any in human history, subtle, precise, and devastating. Dr. Sarah Kimura, an expert in adaptive communication systems, monitored the progress with intense concentration. "We're not just breaking their network," she observed. "We're fundamentally altering its entire operational structure." Machine learning algorithms developed by international research teams worked with unprecedented speed. Each interaction with the alien network provided new insights, new opportunities for deeper infiltration. What would have taken traditional systems months or years was now happening in milliseconds. The alien fleet began to show signs of systemic breakdown. Communication channels became increasingly erratic. Strategic coordination disintegrated as their central network found itself progressively compromised. "It's like watching a complex organism slowly lose its ability to communicate," Dr. Chen remarked. The analogy was apt. The human team was not destroying the alien technology. They were systematically breaking down its ability to function. Commercial technologies played an unexpected role in the infiltration. Cellular networks, satellite communication systems, and even consumer-grade electronics contributed to the global effort. What had seemed like disparate technological systems were now working as a unified adaptive network. The psychological impact was profound. The alien invasion force, which had conquered countless worlds, was being systematically dismantled through a method of technological warfare they could not comprehend. As the infiltration continued, the research facility became a hub of controlled excitement. The wall of holographic displays showed a complex dance of technological interaction, humanity's response evolving with each passing moment. Dr. Rodriguez watched the data streams with a mixture of scientific curiosity and strategic determination. "We're writing a new chapter of technological interaction," she said quietly. "Not just for humanity, but for every civilization that might be watching." The alien fleet's once impenetrable communication network was now a maze of confusion and breakdown. Each attempt to reestablish control was met with a response that was both defensive and offensive, a truly novel approach to technological warfare. As the final stages of infiltration began, it became clear that this was more than just a defensive action. Humanity was demonstrating a level of technological understanding that would redefine the very concept of first contact. The Silent Watchers had become the most dangerous force in the galaxy. The solar system became a battlefield unlike any in galactic history. Experimental spacecraft, developed in secret research facilities, engaged the alien fleet with a precision and creativity that defied all previous models of space combat. Colonel Marcus Weber watched from the primary command center as human vessels moved with an unprecedented level of coordination. These were not traditional military ships, but adaptive platforms that could reconfigure themselves mid-battle, responding to threats in milliseconds. "Activate advanced response protocols," Weber commanded, his voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. Each human spacecraft was more than a simple vehicle. They were complex technological ecosystems, powered by quantum computing systems that could predict and counter alien tactics before they were even initiated. Developed through decades of classified research, these vessels represented the pinnacle of human technological achievement. The battle moved beyond traditional three-dimensional space combat. Human strategists had developed a method of engagement that incorporated quantum positioning, adaptive energy shielding, and communication systems that could simultaneously attack and defend. Dr. Elena Rodriguez monitored the battle from a secondary command center, her team of researchers providing real-time analysis and strategic input. "They're adapting to every standard combat approach," she noted, "which means we can't use any standard approach." Experimental weapon systems, developed through international collaboration, began to show their true potential. Particle beam weapons that could change frequency faster than the alien defensive systems could adapt. Energy dissipation fields that could absorb and redirect incoming attacks. Quantum encrypted communication networks that turned each spacecraft into a node of a larger adaptive intelligence. The alien fleet, once considered invincible, now found itself fighting an enemy that refused to follow any expected pattern of conflict. Where most civilizations would have relied on single, centralized command structures, humanity had created a distributed network of decision-making that could respond with lightning speed. "We're not just fighting," Dr. Sarah Kimura explained to the International Response Team. "We're demonstrating an entirely new approach to technological conflict." Commercial space technologies played an unexpected role. Satellites originally designed for communication and research were now part of a complex defensive and offensive network. Research platforms became weapon systems. Communication networks transformed into adaptive battle coordination platforms. Each human vessel moved with a fluidity that defied traditional understanding of space combat. They were not simply flying. They were thinking, adapting, evolving with each moment of the confrontation. The psychological impact on the alien fleet was profound. Their long-established invasion protocols, which had worked on countless civilizations, were failing spectacularly. Every attempt to gain a strategic advantage was met with a response that was simultaneously defensive and offensive. Machine learning algorithms developed by international research teams worked in perfect synchronization. Each alien tactical attempt was immediately analyzed, broken down, and used to improve humanity's defensive and offensive capabilities. What would have taken traditional military systems months or years was now happening in milliseconds. Dr. Marcus Chen, monitoring the battle's quantum communication patterns, observed something extraordinary. "They're experiencing a total breakdown of their strategic models," he remarked. "Our approach is so fundamentally different that their entire combat methodology is collapsing." The global response was a testament to human potential. Research centers from every continent contributed to the ongoing battle. Each piece of data, each strategic insight became part of a larger, more comprehensive understanding of the conflict. As the battle reached its climax, it became clear that this was more than just a defensive action. Humanity was demonstrating a level of technological and strategic thinking that would redefine the very concept of interstellar conflict. Colonel Weber watched the final stages of the confrontation with a sense of controlled intensity. The alien fleet, once the terror of the galaxy, was being systematically dismantled not through brute force, but through an approach that targeted their fundamental understanding of warfare. "Initiate final response protocol," he commanded. The human vessels moved with a precision that was both beautiful and terrifying. Each ship was a complex technological organism, working in perfect harmony with a global network of researchers, strategists, and adaptive intelligence systems. The galaxy would never be the same again. The Global Communications Center fell silent as the last signals from the alien fleet faded into the vast darkness of space. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before the assembled international team, her expression a mixture of exhaustion and profound realization. "We've done more than defend ourselves," she addressed the room. "We've changed the fundamental understanding of humanity's place in the universe." In the days following the confrontation, the full scope of humanity's achievement began to emerge. Research facilities around the world worked to analyze the technological and strategic insights gained from the encounter. What had begun as a potential extinction-level threat had transformed into the most significant moment in human history. The United Nations convened an emergency session unlike any in its history. Representatives from every continent gathered to discuss the implications of humanity's first interstellar conflict. The traditional divisions of national borders seemed suddenly irrelevant in the face of what they had collectively accomplished. Dr. Marcus Chen presented the initial findings to the Global Assembly. "Our technological response wasn't just about defense," he explained. "We've demonstrated a level of adaptive intelligence and cooperative potential that goes beyond any previous understanding of human capabilities." Satellite networks began broadcasting a carefully constructed message to the stars. It wasn't a declaration of war or a threat, but a sophisticated communication that demonstrated humanity's newfound technological and strategic capabilities. The message was clear. Earth was not a world to be trifled with, but also not a civilization seeking conflict. Research centers from Tokyo to Berlin, from Cape Town to Sao Paulo, began sharing unprecedented levels of data. The collaborative effort that had defended the planet was now turning its attention to understanding the technological breakthrough they had achieved. Colonel Marcus Weber, who had led the military response, found himself at the center of a different kind of strategy meeting. "This is about more than defense," he told the international panel. "This is about establishing humanity's position in a larger galactic context." The economic and technological implications were staggering. The adaptive technologies developed during the conflict began to find applications in every field imaginable. Medical research, communication systems, energy production. Every aspect of human society would be transformed by the breakthrough. "We've essentially received an accelerated course in advanced technology," Dr. Sarah Kimura noted during a global research conference. "The defensive systems we developed are just the beginning." Global communication networks began to change. The collaborative approach that had been crucial in defending the planet now became a new model of international cooperation. National boundaries began to feel increasingly obsolete in the face of what humanity had achieved together. Educational institutions worldwide began developing new curricula focused on the technological and strategic insights gained from the encounter. Schools from elementary to university levels started incorporating the lessons learned into their core teachings. The message to potential future threats was unambiguous. Humanity was not just another civilization to be conquered. They were an adaptive, cooperative species capable of unprecedented levels of innovation and strategic thinking. Dr. Rodriguez reflected on the moment during a private interview. "We didn't just survive," she said. "We demonstrated the true potential of human collaboration and innovation." quantum communication networks began sending out carefully constructed signals. These were not just defensive measures, but sophisticated attempts to understand and communicate with potential other civilizations. Humanity had transformed from a potentially vulnerable species to a galactic force to be respected. The global research effort continued to analyze every piece of data from the encounter. Each fragment of alien technology became an opportunity for understanding, for growth, for pushing the boundaries of human knowledge. As the weeks passed, it became clear that the encounter had fundamentally changed human society. The collaborative spirit, the technological innovation, the strategic thinking that had defended the planet was now being applied to every aspect of human endeavor. The stars no longer seemed like a distant, threatening unknown. They had become a frontier of possibility. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and they were ready for whatever might come next.